What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Take two. If this one doesn't work, my career as a YouTuber is over. Can you just confirm in the live chat that we do have sound and it is actually working this time? And then we'll actually crack on with the video that I got about a minute into last time before realising that the sound had gone. So, on the basis that the sound's working, we'll crack on. Live starting 11 prediction for tomorrow's trip to Aston Villa. It's the first time we've ever faced them. It's match day 8 in the Champions League. Really looking forward to it. We've obviously achieved the main objective of finishing the top 24, but little did we know, because of this new format, there's plenty of ramifications, plenty still to play for, because either draw, win, lose tomorrow, it can all end up with a different opponent in that playoff. So there is lots that can happen, whatever the outcome tomorrow. We'll obviously get some big players missing because Kyogo's gone, Maeda's suspended, Carter Vickers is out injured, and we'll come back to the starting lineup in a minute. But first of all, we haven't played at the weekend. We've had a free week where Aston Villa played West Ham on Sunday. I think that's good for the players. It's felt like a month for me as a supporter, though, because it's been incredible the last 6 days with the transfer news, the shock of Kyogo leaving, from full time against Young Boys to the next day he was basically gone, and then Jota coming back, which we were totally unaware of when we played Young Boys as well. It's just been a mental 6 days. It has felt like a month, but looking forward to getting down to Birmingham tomorrow. It should be a great atmosphere, and who knows if we can get a result. It's going to be obviously a difficult game for us, but as I say, we've done brilliant to get to this stage to secure qualification with this game to spare, but we've just got to go and give a good account of ourselves tomorrow. The big thing in these games against the English teams is that over the years we've fared pretty well. Even if you go back to putting Blackburn and Liverpool out the UEFA Cup, Gordon Strachan coming up against Man United, a narrow defeat at Old Trafford, followed by a 1-0 win at Celtic Park. I know we faced Man United a couple of years later. It was 1-1 at Celtic Park and we get resoundingly beat at Old Trafford. But even 2016 Man City, 3-3 at Celtic Park, won each at the Etihad. So in these battles against the English teams, we do often stand up and perform well, and let's hope we can do that tomorrow, despite the fact, as I say, that we are missing some key players. Before we talk about the game in more detail and talk about Aston Villa, some big transfer news today. Brendan Rodgers basically confirmed in the pre-match press conference that we have signed Kieran Tierney to return to the club in the summer. That's hardly a secret, but it's unlike the manager to just tell you in a press conference before it's actually officially been announced or confirmed. So Kieran Tierney is coming home. He's coming back to Celtic. Whether it'll be this month on loan, Brendan Rodgers seems unsure about that. And he did sort of pull back when he was pushed about whether he's going to come back on loan this month. I think it's doubtful, but there you go. The manager told you we've signed Kieran Tierney. He's coming back in the summer at the very least. And Alex Valle, his loan has been terminated. He's returned to Barcelona. I think Brendan Rodgers said he's actually already in Barcelona right now, and he'll move on to Como. So that would mean that left back, we're just left with Greg Taylor. Scales maybe as a backup to go out there, but we can't go on the second half of the season with one fit left back at the club. So I think we've got to try and get something done with Tierney, however difficult that might be over the next 6 or 7 days. But we're also linked with a £7 million bid for Oyasta from Sarpsborg in Norway today, which I find incredible. A striker is obviously the big priority for us after Kyogo's departure. If we're going to spend 15 million quid on wingers this month and bring a striker back, I would be absolutely astounded. But we'll see how that one develops. Brendan Rodgers also in the press conference basically denied it. Not that he usually says, yes, we've put a first bid in for a player, but he outright denied it. We'll see how that one develops. Lots of goings on in the transfer window the last couple of days, and I expect that to ramp up and continue to ramp up as we move towards the deadline next Monday, I believe it is. So, as you know, this is live. You can finally hear me. We've got a poll going in the live chat. Who's going to start at left wing tomorrow? Yang or Palma? That's who we're left with. Jota can't play. He can't be registered until the playoff round, and with Maeda's suspension, we only have Yang and Palma available to play in that position. We don't even have Kyogo here anymore, who we could maybe shoehorn into a wide position and put either through the middle. So it will be Yang or Palma. And as I say, Aston Villa, really strong side. If you want to catch up on the previous show I did with Luke from Up the Villa today, I've linked that up below. I'll link it up at the end of the video as well. He did say they're not going through their best period of the season, and they've struggled with the games that come after Champions League games, but he did say that Emery's been brilliant. Obviously, I think everybody knows that. Emery's been amazing for Aston Villa, and their Champions League games have been really intense, tactical battles at times. So let's hope we can make it something like that tomorrow. As we get to the team, we'll talk about the different threats Aston Villa might pose us, and because we have a couple of players out, this game was difficult before these players were missing. You expect it to be a whole lot more difficult now. You can get your questions in. I'll try and pick some up as I go through, and then I'll leave a couple of minutes at the end for questions as well. So let's get to the team, and we'll start with Kasper Schmeichel in goals. It was interesting to hear that Luke said there's a bit of needle between him and the Villa fans. Look forward to seeing what that's like tomorrow at the game. Back four: Johnston, Trusty, right hand side, Scales left hand side, and Taylor left back. Carter Vickers is a huge miss for us. I think the big problem with Carter Vickers has been his availability in terms of fitness for these big games. He's missed so many Champions League games, and that's the thing that's held him back. That's the thing that's held us back at times. Don't get me wrong, we did get a brilliant point in Atalanta without him, but he is such a huge player for us in terms of the strength and the pace that he brings to the back line as well. So Trusty's going to have to go to that right hand side position tomorrow. Scales will come back in, and then Taylor is the only left back at the club. I'm definitely going to get left back right tomorrow because he is the only option in that position. Midfield, McGregor captaining the team, Engels and Hatate. I think if we'd played Dundee at the weekend, we'd probably have seen starts for Bernardo or McCowan, if not both. But I think tomorrow he'll definitely go back to that first choice three of McGregor, Hatate, Engels. It's a big game for them. I watched Aston Villa at the weekend. Their midfield is really strong, and I think, as Luke told us in the preview show, they like to play vertical passes through the midfield, through the centre of the pitch. The likes of Tielemans on the half turn, trying to feed the ball into Rodgers in between the lines. So those midfielders, particularly Hatate and Engels, are going to have to track the runs. The likes of Rodgers, Tielemans, if it is to be Kamara in beside them as well, they're going to have to be diligent in their defensive work, and obviously try and hurt Aston Villa when they're on the ball going the other way. But we need a big performance out of those midfielders, particularly with the changes in defence as well. It's a big night for them if we're going to get anything from this game. They'll need to have standout performances. Front three, again, sort of picks itself. There's not a lot we can do in this area of the pitch. Kuhn is the one first choice player who's been massive for us this season, who is fit and available. I'm going to go with Yang on the left hand side, and obviously Ida through the middle. Now, Yang left hand side would drive you mental. I don't think he's done enough at all in his performances this season. I think obviously when we move to the playoff round, Jota will be registered, and he would be the ideal player to come in and play in that position for us even tomorrow, regardless of the fact he's not played a lot of football for a period of time. Jota, he's streets ahead of Yang as a player. I don't see Palma getting the nod. If you go back to the last few weeks and months, Yang has been the one who's had more minutes when Brendan Rodgers has rotated that position of the pitch. So we need a lot out of Yang tomorrow. I tell you that, defensively, offensively, he's got to do much better. And Ida, again, the big thing with Kyogo, aside from all his brilliant goals over his time here, is the intensity of the way he pressed the opposition. I think to lose Maeda for tomorrow and Kyogo to be gone, it totally changes the complexion of the team defensively in terms of that first line of the defence. Being those front three, trying to close people down. Ida, I think we need a big performance out of him, a really big performance. He's obviously going to have to be a a focal point for us in attack. But again, he's going to have to put the work in terms of closing the Aston Villa defence down when they're trying to build the play. They've obviously got concerns at centre half with Mings, who may or may not make it. Pau Torres is injured as well. But it's just a pity our front three is not in a particularly strong position just now, with Maeda out and Kyogo gone. So it looks a bit blunt on paper, particularly with Yang on the left-hand side. But listen, it is what we've got. We're going to have to go and put in a really good performance tomorrow. I think whatever the outcome, we've had an incredible campaign. You've got to remember how difficult the Champions League has been for us for a number of years now. And we've played 7 games and only had 1 defeat. So if the worst comes to the worst tomorrow and we do end up on the end of another defeat, still be an incredible campaign. We've got a playoff to look forward to. And I'm sure the travelling support will show their appreciation for the team at full time. So let's get to some of your comments and questions. Yang gives me nightmares. Stephen Finnegan, I agree. He gives me the very same nightmares. Obviously, some people think he offers a lot more than Palma. I don't think there's much to split them, really. I did get to the stage with Yang a few weeks back when he was playing that I thought, you know what, just put Palma back in, because I don't think there's much between them. They're different. They're different players. I think Yang's got a bit more pace about him. But very, very little end product. With Palma, you lack the pace, but there's maybe something in there in terms of end product. It's going to be interesting to see actually if Palma goes out on loan in the next 6 or 7 days. I know that Jota was asked a question about squad number and said he hadn't been given one yet. And I also saw the picture of him sitting with the number 23, so I don't know if it could be that we're maybe waiting for Palma to go out and Jota could get 7. I know lots of you are absolutely dying for Jota to wear number 7. And just on the topic of number 7, I think Kyogo was going to wear number 7 at Ven, just to absolutely rub it in. James Ryan, how about McCowan on the left? Get him to press and close him down? Possibly. I don't see it. I think Yang on the left-hand side, you don't worry about him putting the work in terms of closing defenders down, but it's just his weakness when he gets there to make contact and to try and rob a defender of the ball and hold them off and use his body and be strong. That's the bit he's not got. There's absolutely no doubt that he can put the work in and he can chase, but there's nothing at the end of it, and he doesn't have that strength to, if it's going to be Matty Cash or it's going to be an Aston Villa centre half that he's closing down, you don't back him to go and win a duel with him and struggle him off the ball. That's the big problem with Yang. Mal Grogan, Paulo did the press conference. I fancy him to start over Engels. Could be Darren, who you see on the channel all the time, thinks that if Paulo Bernardo puts up one of these Instagram stories with a graphic of him previewing the game on the morning of the game, that means he's going to start. So look out for that tomorrow, and we'll test Darren's theory and then see if Bernardo does get the nod. He could do. As I say, I think Bernardo's been hard done at times this season in terms of not getting the starts, but it's difficult in midfield. I think if you go back to last week against Young Boys, Hatate was brilliant. Had a wee shaky spell in the middle of the second half, but other than that, he was brilliant. He came up with a moment of magic that basically won the game for us. So I think it will be Hatate. Again, we need a big night from him, as we always do at this level. I think the one thing you could maybe say for Hatate is that he's probably performed better in the Champions League than he has done domestically this season. I think he's obviously had a number of poor games domestically, but he was brilliant against Leipzig. He had really good the other night against Young Boys as well. Maybe, whether we like it or not, he's seen this as an opportunity to put himself in the shop window and try and get himself a move. Jamie McCowan, as Celtic Fans TV doing the day trip, driving down tomorrow. Looking forward to it. As I say, never been to Villa Park. We've obviously never played Aston Villa. I'm hoping it's going to be a good atmosphere. It does sound like, from the information about getting into the game and how the process for collecting the tickets, seems like it might be a bit of a farce, but I'm sure once we get in there, it'll be an incredible atmosphere. I think at times when you go away in Europe, it's always like that, particularly countries like Italy. We had it at Atalanta. Getting in the stadium was a nightmare. I'm sure if any of you have been to European away trips, you know that you sometimes get treated like Catalan, it's not very nice, but once we get in the stadium tomorrow, hopefully it's a brilliant atmosphere, and as I say, hopefully the boys put on a good performance to give us a bit of credibility against an English team. As I say, over the years, Celtic have done that really well. We need to do it again tomorrow. And regardless of the fact that we've achieved our big objective that we are through, you're still looking for us to try and get a point on the board if we can, because, as I say, it could have huge ramifications for who we face in the playoff. Knowing Celtic, we might somehow sneak all 3 points and still end up with Real Madrid or Bayern Munich in that two-legged playoff tie. So that's it for the starting 11 prediction tonight. Thank you for being patient with the audio problems on the first one. Much appreciated. I'll see you tomorrow at Villa Park with the full-time reaction wherever you're watching the game tomorrow. Enjoy it, and we will see you then. Cheers.